online TV. I'm Abdulaadir, your program Issues and Reality. Today I will meet Mr. Mohammed Kamaldin or Motor Show. Mohammed Kamaldin or Mohammed Kamil or Motor Show, who will be taking us through be giving us his own view of the several social safety net spendings of Kwara State. As we all know, social safety net is meant to augment the government, because we all know that in the economy there will always be the upper class, the middle class, and the lower class. There will always be people. There will always be the people that cannot help themselves, that the government will have to come in to help. But at most, a lot of people economically, a lot of people will say that government is not really helping these people from their pocket, because it's the tax you charge the rich you use to subsidize the poor. That is the normal chain of economy. But recently, since the emergence of this current administration, we've had what we call Owosho, Owarubo, Kwara 1.0, 2.0, and recently we've seen the launching of the 3.0 of that same thing. But a lot of people have asked a lot of questions as to how effective are these programs being. What have we gained? What have we seen? What have we gotten? So that would be the core of our discussion today. You're welcome on the show, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
So let's start from the broad background. In 2019, Kwara's decided to change hands. They wanted a new hand in government, and the change really came. And then there were very, very high hopes in every quarter. And then this government came in with a lot of programs that is meant to uplift the lower class people to the majorly to the middle class spaces. But we have this Owosho, we have this Owarubo, which is being managed by Kwasip. I think Kwasip till now has had 2 different DJs. We used to have Mr. Muhammad Brima, and then currently we have Malam Oludodo as the DJ. And now you'll see that in recent weeks, I think maybe early this month, we had the Kwara 2.0. And then when the Kwara 2.0 came up, the first question that came up in many quarters is that 1.0 is there. We've not seen the reports. And then I think what we saw there was a loan, a grant that was supposed to be repaid. And there are rumors that the government is having difficulties in recovering the grants that are being pushed out. But we had 2.0 without even giving a report of the first one, and then now we are having 3.0. But many people will say that when you start digging a hole, even you yourself will fall in and get injured. You may not know. This is money that belongs to every single Kwara. We know that we cannot have it all. Everybody cannot have our hands on the money at once. But then, if you're spending it on some of us, we should have a say. So, what do you think? Let's start with this Owosho Owarubo, because there are cases where people will say that you only get this money thrice once in 3 months, this and that. There are lots of things. There are people complaining on radio. There are lots of complaints, and this thing, or if you agree with me, it's not as popular as it used to be. There were days where we will have, when this thing is to be shared, everybody will know. There was a day where they had to go on line up at the Kwara State Stadium complex, all these things. But recently, all this noise have come down. Then we have other things. Let's start with this Owosho, which normally everybody should agree that we have a lot of old-aged people whose children and grandchildren are not self-sufficient to take care of these people. It's a very, very noble idea to help these people. But are we pretending to help these people, or we are really helping these people?
Okay, that's your question. Actually.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for having me on this show. And before I go on, I want to say that you have even given us the background already with all this your explanation. But before then, I like to say some things before I move on. I am kind of close to this government, and the previous government, I am very, very close to it as well.
That would be a plus.
Yes, and here I am, a son or brother or maybe a father of somebody that belongs to the masses. So I'm trying to tell you that I stand on these three pedestals. That is, I belong to the past government in a way, I belong to this present government, and I'm even a product of this society.
Alright.
So whatever I'm going to say should be balanced.
Alright.
That's one point. And the second point is that, I don't know if you are aware, I am a poet as well. And in one of my poems, there's a stanza of it that I would like to say before I even make any comment on this. In the stanza, I said that I have chosen to shift to the right. I have chosen to shift to the right. From the left where nothing is left. Even though I know in the right where I am, nothing is left, then truth is far better than theft. That is another way of saying that whatever I'm going to say here is going to be balanced. Fine. Taking us through this social safety net or social safety spending, whatever we call it, it's something that we fashion based on what suits us. Where it is actually coming from is, let's say, the resolution of the United Nations and some multinational organizations that over the years they observed that definitely the systems that are prevalent in societies of the world are kind of giving birth to what we call social inequality, whereby we have the rich and the rich class and the lower class and the poor class, no matter how much we twist it. So because of that, they came with a sense of responsibility that, okay, let us harness these people that are behind, that are lagging behind in terms of in their standard of living. Let us bring them, at least let us bridge the gap between the poor and the rich. So these social spendings, social networks spendings are coming to bridge the gap in the reality of what it is meant to be. They are coming to bridge the gap. Now, coming to Kwara State, we've had a lot of issues. The past government running administration for almost 16 years of nothing to show for it. That was what we heard. You understand? That was the claim of the government that is on the mantra now. Meanwhile, the outgone government too has tried to say, okay, it is not like we have not done anything. But it seemed I'm not sorry to say, this government, this present government, I think what it's leveraged upon to be on power, like not totally, but in a way could be said to be a kind of propaganda. Because at least we've been conscious of what is happening around us, it's been a while. So one would not say that the past government has not done anything. You understand? Like anything whatsoever. Fine, things could be done in different ways. But now let us delve into these quasi programs. The Owosho, the Owarubo and all. Of course, it's a very commendable thing if the government is saying that, okay, the condition under which the past government was catering for the aged or the old people was kind of delicate or precarious, in the sense that people would be too much in a closed up place, and before we know it, it results to some people being wounded, even despite their age and all sorts of things. So let us devise a new way of doing that.
Exactly.
You understand? So this is what this government has come up with, which I think in a way is commendable. But making a policy, the same thing goes for other schemes like the Owosho and whatever, and the Kwarapino. I'm coming to Kwarapino. That has to be treated specially, yes, because there's a lot of noise going about around that now, and I think, like, having looked at the situation, I feel people are not well educated on the program, on the Kwarapino particularly, and people they have the right to be. So I'll talk about that specially. Correct. But now, making a policy is one thing. Now, influencing or implementing the policy is another thing. Ensuring that the motive is actually achieved. And that is where I want to come in, as as a product or as as a person representing the masses, you know, okay, the condition under which the old people are being taken care of is dangerous. That was the
claim.
that was the claim. But now, what has been the measurement? What has been the mechanism that has been put in place to evaluate how successful this has been? In all sincerity, to be honest with ourselves, we would say there's absolutely nothing other than maybe the noise going around on the social media. And this government has done this government has done that. But if we will be fair to ourselves, you know, we need to be sincere. You understand? There's no cogent yardstick or a mechanism that this government or Kwasi itself as an agency has put in place to evaluate what they have been doing. Okay, what is the success recorded so far on this? How has it added or been a minus, you know, in terms of value when we talk about the Owarubu, even the Owoshewo? Fine, it's another thing. The same thing is applicable to the federal government, where we saw the vice president going to markets, yes,
money,
giving people money, and so on and so forth. Yes, this is
you recall that around 2019, 2020, there was a noise in Kwara, there was a silent noise.
Okay.
A silent noise in Kwara State about people not paying back the trader money.
Yes.
Like they have problem of recoveries. And you know, in the government, when a government is in power, they always want their bad side closed. There was a noise, and then the people in charge came up and said, "It's not like that. It's not like that." And I'm very sure there are people that took these people that has not paid till now.
Definitely.
But despite the problem of recovery, this current government decided to copy that. What do you call it? Roadmap without a better recovery structure. Okay, it's normal to copy a plan, but then you have to look at the deficit and try to bridge it.
Yeah.
But we still went into it, and then here we are. We only hear about people giving out money for show.
No evaluation, effectiveness, and
all. What is the recovery rate? We don't have the data.
And that is where the problem lies. The fact that we don't have mechanisms in place to check all of these things is our number one problem. Because we need to know if we are improving or not. So this is not in place. And that raises a concern, a serious concern that, okay, these things in the first place, do they really mean to serve a purpose other than what we know or what is in our domain as the public? Because now we don't know what success we have recorded so far. That gives us a kind of hint that the programs are actually meant to score a kind of maybe political goals. You know, that, oh, this government is working just in the media and not in reality. And at this point in time, we need to face reality. You get it? And that is why I would say that it might not be that this government does not have a yardstick or a mechanism in place to check the program if it is successful or not. Maybe the mechanism is not effective enough. But because how come that we know of what is going on, okay, what the government is doing, but we cannot see the impact, like in reality? Please, that reality, I want, if I am to write, you know, as a writer, I'll put it in bold fonts. You get it? So in reality, there's difference between saying things, claiming things, and there's difference between seeing it
when
actually.
Begin to start you in the face.
Exactly. And the same thing is applicable to the Kwara Pinyo scheme.
I think let's wait on Kwara Pinyo.
Okay, we've not got. I think it's part of the social investment
but I think,
scheme. Okay.
as you said, it's a very, very broader case.
Okay.
But there are people complaining that this Owarubu is mostly non-founded now.
Okay.
There are people saying that, okay, I used to have the Director General of the Kwasi, the former Director General of the Kwasi, and he told us that this is how we pay. We pay 3 months, we give them these stipends, and then we go back in 3 months. And he gave us this very fine data. Like, they make sure, they realize that when they pay these 3 months, before they get back in 3 months, their expenditure actually drops because many of the old women, some of them would have packed off. Please pardon my language. Some of them would have packed off. That's how they do it. Then they don't just register people anyhow.
Okay.
They go through processes that there are agents that will go to the houses, they will see the people. But my dear brother, what I see in reality is not this. What the reality I know.
What is the reality you saw?
The reality I know is that people are still being packed, though in not a political rally, but in some government secretariats, in some government-owned schools, people are still being jam-packed. So the money is not going to the house to the people as claimed. So sometimes you ask yourself that who is breaching the social contract? The people did not really ask for a social safety net, even though we know it's alright, because even the corporate, the multinational societies are crying. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
When we talk about insecurity in the state, in this country, we know it is worse in the north. If we want to agree with ourselves, and I've seen a professor in the north that is saying that the gun war, the war we have to fight with guns, will be won or lost. But we have to fight some social wars. We have to get those kids out of the streets. We need to keep them where we think they have future too. He said that these people that are perpetrating these evils know that they have a very large scale of unemployment. When they want to employ, this thing happened when the Matterson, if you remember the Matterson, when President Muhammadu Buhari was still a general. When the problem is that these people had nowhere to sleep. They go to this man. He actually brainwashed them. The same thing comes with the Boko Haram. The same thing. We have seen the recent documentary on the bandit. They're saying that the government does not care for them, and really it doesn't. These people are saying that this professor said he has met these people, and what they are asking for is a brighter future for themselves. But you know that you and I know to a very large extent, even if they will not categorize us as the elite, we know how to relate with the elite. There are people that do not know how to relate with the elite.
Definitely.
You know, when you are relating with the elite, you need to be careful. Maybe sometimes they might be dangling your right in your face, and you will not know that they are dangling it. They are not really giving you. When you see a bulk of agreement, and then you do not know. Then somebody will just carry the book and take it home like, this is my agreement. The day you take it out, and then they will tell you that this is not what is written.
Exactly.
So now what I'm saying is that, what is the problem with our theory and the realities?
That still takes us back to, where we flew. When you keep landing where you fly at all times, nothing is changing.
Okay. Let's look at it in this angle.
Okay.
These people with Owosho, they are given 20,000 naira.
Okay.
20,000 naira. The minimum wage of this country today is 30,000 naira.
Okay.
And we expect somebody to take 20,000 naira and start a business. And then when you see people doing the mathematics as if it is that easy, somebody that comes out to get the 20,000 naira to augment his business automatically do not have something to eat at home. You have to eat. If you are really helping somebody, but you want to give them money for business, you have to take care of their basic needs, so that their basic needs will not affect their expenditure.
They are doing.
Exactly. So now, on a note, if we really want to help ourselves, we should go beyond the minimum wage. Today, whoever is taking the minimum wage knows that if I take it this month, I still have hope of taking next month, except if the government is not doing it right. But somebody that took 20,000 this month, and the next 3 months, the government is back to say, where's our money? 20,000 naira.
Not to stress ourselves. When I saw the news that the government is to spend about 600 million naira on this social.
Yes.
You understand? So I recently asked how, what for. You get it? And then somebody was trying to answer me. I said, well, if the government has said or has claimed that this money that they are going to spend, after you divide it into 30,000, maybe each person will have to go home with 20,000 naira. And definitely, all these 30,000 people would not actually get the money in reality. You know the way
This is our
politicians
country.
do their
We
things.
know our country. We all know our country.
So now the question is, and if the government has said, okay, it is meant to relieve them. Let's say you give somebody some money to eat, to just relieve them for a while. You say it's a fine development. You said it is meant to uplift. And that takes us back to the question that I asked, that do we really, are these schemes, all these programs, do they mean to achieve what we are claiming we want to achieve, eradication of poverty, or we are using them to score mere political goals, to gain some political credibility? Government has spent 600 million to do this. You are a media man, I'm a media man too. You get it now? So just get some kind of political popularity and all, political endorsement and all, and then we are fine. But in reality, what have we achieved with this? I would have not faulted this government, definitely. Because, okay, if you said that 20,000 naira is not really uplifting people, it's only relieving them. You understand? Okay, what about the said 100 million, 1 million naira for each youth entrepreneur, which we just saw? Yes, you understand. So I would say that is bigger than the 20,000. But the question or the problem we have with this is the effectiveness. Most embarrassing of this whole thing is that politicians would always find their way to hijack it. I think politicians can just not detach themselves from, whatever scheme or plan they have for the masses. And that is why we saw at even the governor's ward, people claiming that they had some slots. It shouldn't be about slots. It should be strictly based on merit. But now it is even the governor's ward where we hear that, or where we even saw that, okay, some people were given slots and it favored some people, it didn't favor some people, and people were even fighting over it. So now we experienced what we call a kind of, may I call it an irony, because it was meant to uplift businesses. Now it is leading to fights. These people later came, the way politicians do. They saw that, they might have dented the image of the governor, and they came back that, there's no fighting, But it already happened.
It happened before our eyes.
So even if the, let's say, unlettered people do not know, we know, and we have the right, and people have the right to know.
As in, we have some
you get
people
it
that
now.
read between the lines. They know that this is the reality.
So this is it.
Okay, sir, let me come like this. We just have Kwara now. 2.0, 100 million, 100 people. The last time when the Kwara 1.0 was done, I had an economist on this program, and he was talking that scheme 1.0 then, some people got 3 million naira.
Yes, it's ranging from 250,000 to 3 million naira.
Some people got 3 million naira. Okay. Then this person was talking, he said that when you have somebody that said he wanted to start a Uber business, they gave him 500,000 naira.
Okay.
Somebody wants to start a Euro business. Euro business got 3 million naira. Oh. So you should know that. What is the rationale behind this? Uber, Euro. That is one. But if we really want to help ourselves, there are people that talk politically. Okay, if you want to do these things politically, if you want to sincerely do it politically, we have 193 words in Kwara State.
As if you know where I would be going. Okay, continue.
We have 193 words in Kwara State. We have 600 million to spend.
Okay.
If we give 3 persons each, 1 million naira each from each ward, 3 persons from each ward in Kwara State, we have 3 persons. We know ourselves. In one ward, if you have 3 million naira overnight, we know that if at least 1.5 of them will survive, some people will still go into debt. We will still have to help them tomorrow.
But the nature of business.
It's the nature of business. But if you have 50%, one person will still later recruit one person. One person will still later recruit 5 persons. That's how poverty is killed. It's not something that happens overnight. But then, we want to give 30,000 people, which we know that the reality will not be more than 5,000 people, even if it will go up to that. Okay. We know how this thing works. We know what happened with the scandal with Empower and the Commissioner for Finance, the Commissioner for Humanitarian, my Minister for Humanitarian Services, and then the Senate. We know how this wrangling goes. But it seems, as you said, our politicians do not want to detach themselves from their schemes. They always want to have a back door into it. But my question is this. We are the future elite, whether we like it or not. What do we want to do differently? Why is it that when we make a program, very beautiful, the first thing our politicians look at is how to preach it, because they're the one that want to preach it mostly. So now, sir, election is near. We can't detach politics from governance. Whether we are in a democracy where we have to go to the polls every 4 years, mandatorily, if we want to have a stable country. What should we be looking at? I'm not saying that when somebody comes in, they have it free. I am 100% for what happened in 2019 in Kwara. It's normal to change hands. But it's one thing to campaign for one person. It's another thing to enable that person when it gets to power. We enable the people in power. You see people on social media, it's hard to say the truth now. Say the truth. The moment they know you have a voice, they will come after you.
Your head is called for it.
They will come after you. But you know, my fear is that every day you open your phone, you see somebody suffering from an ailment that needs donation. Every day. It's now everyday thing in this country. Is this how we want to continue? Why? Maybe the mother of that child has taken 30,000, 20,000 naira from one politician yesterday, and you go to that politician and tell you, move from your land. So, and then that child has an ailment that will cost them 2 million naira. So these are the future, the reality, the undoubtable reality. So what do we do? How do we get ourselves out of this cage?
Well, I think we need to redefine our purpose. I want to simply answer your question. We need to redefine our purpose in this way, that people at the helms of affairs, should be able to detach themselves. If not totally, at least let them be results oriented. In my own capability, at every position I find myself, I try to be results oriented. I might have to go through a lot of stress, but then the result is my target. And I realize that this is actually working. Somebody will have to make some sacrifice and all, and before you know it, it is working. What do I mean by being result oriented? This is it. If really we have a purpose to serve, a purpose of development, I'm a development enthusiast, and if we have that goal to achieve, then we don't have to, it is not how far, it is how well. Instead of, let's say, giving 30,000 people 20,000 naira out of 600 million, you say we want to make it go round and all this money would end up being spent without anything to record for it. But you said something about how many words we have and all. You get it? Okay. We say maybe the QASIP would have to do another assignment. We've given a million naira to about 100 people across the wards in Kwara State. Let us define, let us profile them. Let us profile this ward. How many people got 1 million naira from this ward? How many got from that ward? Let us know. Now, let us start tracking them. You give some people some things, you don't monitor them, you don't do things.
Mechanism.
After we have made a lot of, let's say we've made a news out of it, it does not end there. We need to ensure that these things are eventually translating into what we are dreaming of. You understand? So that would have served a purpose. If out of 100 people that took 1 million naira and did business with it, let's say over 70% of them can succeed because they subjected them to a kind of training, entrepreneurial training and workshops, So we expect that they will maximize that as well. You get it? So if out of all of these people, about 70% got it right, and the 30%, I don't want to say do not get it right, but
maybe
the
nature of business,
you get it now. No, let us now begin to project into future of those 70%, of that 70%. Like, okay, 1 million naira business, at least over a year, if you run it appropriately on a business over a year, at least you should be able to make a kind of, let's say 30% of that 1 million naira. You should be able to make about 200,000 to 300,000 naira on it. You understand? So subsequently, let's say the business is run and monitored, let's say over like 2-3 years. Now let us see what you have achieved and how many people you have engaged. You know?
We'll be at peace in the number of millionaires we have created.
So definitely we would know that, okay, we did not just give these millions out, but we have actually created millionaires who are working, who have thinking head, you know. But no, if we just say, okay, we just give money out and we have done our own as a government, and we are not trying, it is our responsibility to make policies and even track those policies. It doesn't end at making policies, giving money out. No, that's not how it works, you know. But sincerely, if 600 million naira has to be given in 20,000 naira to people, they will just use it to buy food. They will just eat, and once you eat in a week, you spend that 20,000 naira in a week. The money is gone.
Okay, now we're already in the Kwara now. Last year we had Kwara program, range of 250,000 to 3 million naira. This year, just recently, we had another one, 1 million naira each, 100 people. Where we came to realize that one word actually get more than one. If it's to go per word, it is not even enough. So now, don't let us look at the political side of it. Recently, now we are hearing about the launching of the 3.0.
Okay.
I don't know. Some people have said that is the government trying to do it before election, trying to tally it with the campaign train and all those things. But then, whether the government is not about how far, it's not about the timing. Once the government is doing what is right, we don't care about the time. As Kamil will say that the ends justifies the means to a very large extent. We are getting the expected result. Here we are now. People are getting 100 million naira. We know about the noise around the 100 million naira. Before we go to this 1 million naira, let's go back to 1.0. The government has refused to come out and tell us what the recovery rate is, the success recorded, and the lapses they saw, the improvement they are expected to bring in, and all those things. We are here. Everybody is here now. What we hear is that government is doling money out. Government is doling money out every day. So, but on the flip side of it, some people will tell you that you expect the government to just sit down, a governor that wants to run for the second time and not create a way for the people to get some money, there's some money to be in the public space. No. But then, the government comes, government goes. Citizenship remains. We are in the office of the citizens today. So, how do we, because one of the major problems of political analysis in this country is that the government will always complain that you come with the problem, you don't tell us the solution. So, which way, in a way, how can we help the government with advices with this Kwara thing?
Well, we've said it. The advice is here. Like, it's something very obvious for any mind that is discerning. You know, we've said it. It is not how far. It should be how well. If 50 people can get in Kwara alone, if 50 youth who have this energy, you know, youth is the most productive population class in Nigeria. You understand? So, and everything that defines the youth, they have it. So if they can use that energy, like 50 people in this Kwara, just 50 youth, let's say in this year alone, we give 50 youth, let's say 2 million naira each. And we help them to manage this money. And the money is working for them. Definitely, we won't have a minus, we'll rather have a plus. Because those 2 million nairas will be yielding some things on them. And over the years, those yields will also become millions. So in a way, they can also create wealth or avenue for other people to grow. Do you get it now?
So I don't think you can run a business of 2 million naira on your own. By your own. Okay. Just you. You always have the cost to get somebody to help you.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And even I don't want to forget this point. And that is the reason why I said maybe the motive of these policymakers are kind of different from what we are seeing on the surface. I didn't want to be too open on that, but now that you have led me, maybe I should just say it in a way that it might be serving another purpose, another goal for the politicians. Because if you know that if you have 30,000 people, you understand, that actually receive your money, or the public's money, presented to them as if it is your money. You understand? They will feel, they have this feeling of, oh, Agbowo, Ijoba, oh, and they would want to support that government to remain in power. That might be it. But it is a way, I would say, you know, you asked initially that what is my view on these policies. So I would say that is a way, it's a way of maybe doing ourselves bad. It's a way of, you know, killing ourselves if we'll just be throwing our wealth out like that without getting the value for it. You get it? So definitely these programs could have been based on merit. You understand? But the nature of business, you know, requires a kind of close monitoring, you know, follow-ups, so that you see that, oh, am I recording success or not? So what do I need to do differently? And if you just have a large number of people, 600 million into 20,000 naira, how do you get the money back when they have used it, they have even used it to eat?
Alright, okay, this brought me to another question. One of the social safety net, the government will say they've done this issue of helping the people in the transport sector with tricycle, with mini buses. We are here now.
Okay.
There is a clash of, let me say, words. Some people are saying this is over 3 million naira. Some people are saying it's not up to 3 million naira. Some people are saying this is new. We've had a government officer, public official, that said the government did not commit a dime. We've had the government official that said the government committed millions, but not as much as people think. We are caught between the middle to know who to believe, but that is not it. If you've seen a car on social media.
Okay.
The person rightly said 3.7 million.
Okay.
You or I knows that car with the hike in.
You mean the buses?
The buses. With the hike.
The Koro base.
Yes, the Koro base.
So that
with the hike, the current hike
okay.
on fuel, government is planning to remove fuel subsidy. Immediately, the government is not dodging the bullet. They are leaving it for the next government to take over. Do you think these people can recover 3.7 million naira within 2 years? And do we think these cars can live for 5 years, healthy for 5 years? Here we are. And then when the government say they are bringing stimulus, why can't we just buy these buses, give it to people, subsidize them so that they can subsidize the public? We talk about fuel subsidy every day. Why don't you go work with the RTA and the NURTW? We are, like you said in the beginning of this, that we're still flying and landing on the same point. Tomorrow, these people will still come and say, we have not enjoyed the dividends of democracy. Because this person will tell you that they gave me a car and I have to pay more than 3.7 million naira. If you go to the market, how is the car itself? So we are kind of choking ourselves, and the government seems to have their own idea that is different from what we have.
Okay. Well, you know, this is another part of it. The buses, 3.7 million.
Allegedly.
I think some government officials came and said it's 3.7 million.
Some have refuted it.
Okay, if that is it, then it has to be in the public domain.
Exactly. The government has to come out when they open. Yes. How much is this?
How much is this? And what is the scheme like? When I saw, I saw it when the buses were to be taken to government house or wherever they were being taken to. I was coming from around Asadam here, then getting to Unity, the buses were overtaking me and all, and that caught my attention. So I saw the inscription on the buses, and I saw that, oh, this is a SIP assisted something. So, you know, as a PR expert, the first thing that came to my mind was, oh, maybe SIP is doing a kind of CSR, like corporate social responsibility. So I was like, oh, this will be fine for SIP. I was telling the person beside me. And getting home, I decided to see what is happening, you know, in the state, and then I started seeing discussions on the buses. Of course, one of the beautiful ways that government can intervene, you know, is that giving people things and they will pay instrumentally while they make their own money. But you raised a concern. It's a question you asked, but to me it's a concern. You know, the concern that in this economic reality, are these people going to make or be able to pay this money? That's a concern, a big concern at that. If it is SIP's money, you know, SIP is private, and these private organizations, they have their way of making their money, getting their money back. You get it? But the government, which is the middleman now, you know, could have achieved or scored some kind of goodwill goal from it, that okay, it is presented as if it is the government doing, or even if it is the government doing, you understand? SIP would definitely find a way of making its own profit. You get it? But the people at the receiving end are those who take these buses now in this economic reality. Just recently, I was in talks with some people who had issues with their I don't know what they call them. In Yoruba they will say onidi liver. You know, so these people, they will give bikes or maybe cabs to people, and they will be giving them delivery, returns. And even if a bike is meant to be, let's say, returning 10,000 naira, weekly, and this 10,000 naira is not being met, because of complaints of economic hardship and all. Excuse me, if you get such a bus for 3.7 million naira, in quotes, it might not be it. But what we have in the public's domain now is that it is 3.7 million naira. What is the scheme like? So that is why I said the government is not doing enough in educating people on their schemes and policies. It's not about winning political scores online. People need to understand the scheme before stepping into it. Look at what transpired about the police constabulary in the state recently. If you are told, I was aware at the time they were being recruited. Some people came to solicit my help to get a slot and all. I say, I'm not like you. You look at me, like I'm just an ordinary person like you. You get it? But now, the same people who are supposedly briefed that this thing you are taking is a voluntary something are the ones protesting again. So you see there's a lacuna somewhere. Is it the government that is trying to lure them into what they do not understand, or they are the ones who are not educated well about what they are doing? This is security issue. So don't let me digress too much on that. But I'm just saying that there's a lacuna in, let's say, the government's communication architecture. Yes, the communication system of the government, I would say, is doing less in that aspect. Because people should be educated well about what they are doing, even the bosses. Do they know how much it is? Are they willingly taking it? If they are willingly taking it, let us be educated on, okay, what is the scheme like? Over what period of time will they bring the return? So that you will know that, okay, I should take this, I should not take it. But in the face of economic reality, 3.7 million naira for those buses, where I know that they use Korope most in this Kwara, is of Axis, and probably the Unilorin Koropes. Now the schools have been shut down for almost half of this year now. All the economic activities that go on in those areas, I wonder what people like that will be feeding on. So if we are buying those buses at this hard time, you understand? And the people that are meant to use it, I don't know, because I don't see them on Tanker to Post Office axis or Jaoba axis, except for those that go to, let's say, Opal Garage and all.
We should also remember that those that actually do this thing in Unilorin, I used to be a student of the University of Unilorin.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
They are strictly regulated. Even when the school is
stay around the place.
When the school is in session, they are strictly regulated. The moment
Definitely.
it's not like what happens in the streets.
Yes.
It's not in the metropolis. These people will say we are not paying. These people will say okay, we want to move the money to 800. I mean 80 naira per drop. The student will just stop. And then before you know it, the SUG will call these people and say go back to your 15 naira.
And that is what we are saying. That in this economic reality, how do you pay 3.7 million naira? Except if it is otherwise. 3.7 million naira back, you know, in that way. Over what period of time? In what instrumental base? You know, these are things that people should consider. We did not see this in the public domain. All we saw was buses being delivered to the government. I was on a sheep farm, and I saw the man myself. He's a great man who you know, the way I asked him some questions, you know, and then when I saw the bus, I was like, oh, is this a kind of CSR for sheep? But when I saw that it's actually in fact, the way it was presented, as if it is the government's doing. But you know, for some of us in the know, like if you understand things, you know, when I saw the message, I would be able to pick which one is real and which one is just meant for other people.
Yeah.
You get it now? So after seeing that, I was like, hey, so I wonder how people are rushing at it and they don't even know what is at stake. And then you get things, you say you are stuck. And these people deserve the right, they have the right to know before going. And it is even the responsibility of the government
to educate
educate them and even work towards making it an ease, a total ease for them. Because if you cannot just walk up to anybody to buy you a bus that you'll be paying instrumentally, at least the government should be able to do it for some people. So if the government that you are meant to rely on, you know, be afraid of, don't let us do this or something, then something is wrong somewhere.
Alright, I think this will be the last we'll talk about. Let's talk about the constabularies.
Okay.
And we should understand within ourselves what danger that is bringing. Because these people, to a very large extent, even if they are poorly trained, they are already trained to a large extent to be security gadgets. And then one thing I like about developed countries is that they try as much as possible to make sure that the smartest of them do not become criminals.
Okay.
The smartest, people that are naturally smarted. Not talk of trained. These people are trained. We automatically, if they are trained to catch thieves, they know how to dodge the security apparatus. If we leave these people and not pay them, they are still doing us a favor by going to the government house to protest. By the time they take the laws into their hands and start letting people know what they are feeling in actions, when people that are supposed to sleep in the house, they know the areas that are vulnerable in this country, I mean in this state, they start this thing. That is a social calamity that could not be avoided if the things continue like this. But then it's saddening when you see that government actually did this thing, everybody saw it, he launched them. On that day, I don't think he remembered to tell them that you will not be getting paid. Well, if we are talking about social safety nets, why don't you give it to those people? Give them 20,000 naira. But then, we are now telling them that this is voluntary. These people, I'm very sure they are more than 1,000.
Oh, well, that's 1,556
okay,
or so.
We will take them back to, out of the uniform, and then they will start sitting with us in the assemblies, thinking of the next thing to do. You know the society you're born in. The moment you start going out in the morning and coming back in the night, you are not part of the family's responsibilities anymore. That's how it works. I know people that his own wife and himself, they are in this scheme. they thought they are seeing a job. But
That's why
this is the reality.
There's much ado, there's a lot much ado about the government's system, communication system. People should not be lured into things. Now, this issue of constabulary, honestly, I want to fault the constables. At the same time, I would fault the people in charge too, so to say. Why will I fault the constables? One, you should not dabble into what you do not understand. At least, before you do anything, you understand your stake in it. That's number one. Then number two thing is that, you see, in this phase of insecurity, it's a challenge upon all of us, not the challenge upon government alone. And I respect people in uniform a lot, especially those in the army. Why? I believe there's no sacrifice anybody can pay than laying down your life to protect others.
For people that are sleeping on their bed.
Honestly speaking. And because of that, people like that, naturally commands a kind of respect and regard from me. Like the most junior officer in uniform, particularly army. Honestly, I respect them a lot, more than the doctors or as they have made us to respect them in the social stratification. You understand? Now, because of this, I am faulting these people. If you want to venture into this security something, you should know that it requires a great degree of patriotism. It's not about the money in the first place. But then, in the face of this economic reality, I've said their own. You should not expect things like that to be done for free. Somebody that is hungry, really, really hungry, now clothed in blacks, black shoes, black cap, you understand? And then put in a strategic place to catch somebody who is meant to attack him and probably kill him. You understand? And you expect that to be done for free. Fine, there are ways it could have been, presented that, okay, we are not paying you, but we should do things. You know what? While in university, I did something. I said I read communications and I specialize in PR. You get it? So I did a research. In fact, that's what my university, this project that we normally do, that's what it's basically revolved around. That is, roles of employer-employee relationship on every organizational success. And delving into that realm availed me the opportunity to know how important it is. It's not only about salary. You might not give people salary, but when you are on the same page with them, you don't think for them, you think together. You dialogue with them, they understand your value, you understand their value, and you are working towards achieving the same goal. These people, they will be working themselves out without expecting anything from it. But when they are not communicated well, that's why you will not be on the same. They will expect you to do something, and when you're not doing it, it becomes another thing else. And that is what is playing out. These people perhaps were not really briefed, because from the words of the police spokesperson,
exactly,
he said these people were briefed on the job they took.
I want to say this.
Yes, of course. If they are briefed, you understand?
Is it the job of the Nigerian Police Force, Kwara State Command, to refute the claim? Because
yes.
These people did not go
in a way.
to. But to a very large extent, the government has a spokesperson.
In a way, sir.
I understand. But the government has a spokesperson. These people went to the government and did not go to the police.
I get it, but they are wearing police uniform. And like I told you, I'm a PR expert. You have, the image of the police must have been dented, so to say.
Okay.
And that is why
the police
the IG might have prevailed on the commissioner of police
claimed themselves.
And that is what they are supposed to do.
Okay, the government.
Now the government.
We have not heard anything.
No, we've heard actually. If you followed the trend, on different platforms, for instance, Vanguard got the side of the government. Not everybody, for instance, channels did not include the side of the government in their, broadcast.
Everything we
but
get.
Vanguard, yes.
No, everything we get from the side of the government has always
PRIs.
an excerpt of what the police is saying. The
don't
government has never come up with anything and said this is signed by
the commissioner for information, Mr. Towoju, said some things. Yes, he said that these constables are meant to be catered for, not directly by the state government, but by the local government. And he even said that they are being paid some stipends, which is not even in the public domain. If these people are actually being paid, at least let us know. we cannot be faulting government for everything. But we do not
know. Be faulting the government blindly.
Exactly. But the government too. The response of Mr. Towoju is not explicit.
Okay. Let's talk about this. Let's now put it in our own perspective. The people are supposed to be catered for. The local government.
In fact, there's somewhere I was going actually.
Okay.
When Mr. Towoju responded or reacted, he said that he said the essence. He told the motive of bringing these constables on board at a point, and he said the motive was to eradicate joblessness and at the same time beef up security in the state, which was fine. It's a very fine initiative. You understand idea, but now it is not. Let's say, so to say, it is not being properly handled, and it is bringing the opposite. Now, the police also, the police spokesperson said something that they have the right to back out if they want to, like to leave the job at this point. Should that be it? Fine. The police must have been the force agency that they are, and that is how the force, relates. It's understandable for some of us in the north. But now, just like you said in the outset, that these people have been brought, given some basic training, they have had a sense of belonging to the force. It's a way of saying they have a sense of belonging. We have seen on the news, on the media, where people that are not even trained like that would be impersonating even military personnel. They will be impersonating police officers. You understand? You see criminals in police. So these people, they know their ways. They were put in strategic places. You understand? So, and this is a time where insecurity is even confronting us right in the face. You get it? So if you are telling them to back out, that is a kind of inadequacy of the people in charge. You get it now? Now, if the government is saying that, okay, they don't entitle or they don't deserve or they are not being given any salary because they are not taking a police job, then there are ways they could have been taken. Okay, what happens to our security vote? Security vote is something, an issue, that we don't discuss. And it's a sorry thing that we don't discuss it in programs like this. Every state is being paid security votes. And the last time I checked, the least state, the least state that gets less, because this vote is being given to them based on their degree of security challenges. I think Osun State, Ekiti State, they are one of the least paid states. Yes, they get at least 1.2 billion naira annually. What happens to that? Can't that cater for them? If it is not salary, if it is a stipend, and then you maintain a kind of good relationship with them.
Do you know that some people in government have tried to paint security vote as a right of the government?
No, it's no. The security vote cannot be a right of the government. If you look at the act that established security votes,
I'm telling
you understand? No, the way it is presented, I get it. The way it is presented.
You see,
security vote.
We've talked about a lot of things.
Security vote is meant to be, to be appropriated on the governor's discretion. You are the one that know the challenges in your domain. Take this fund, use it to supplement whatever the security agencies can offer, in your state. That does not make it the governor's personal money. The money is meant for security well-being of the state. So money is like this. Nobody is teaching the governor or the government how to spend the money. You understand? But when issues like this are happening, then we begin to ask questions. Security vote, what happens to it? How is it being appropriated? If we are saying these people do not have salaries, what happens to stipends?
Because it will kill you to know that.
But how can somebody be protecting people, a hungry person, a frustrated person, protecting people? He will end up being the robbers.
It will kill you to just remember that our neighboring states, Osun, Oyo, Ondo states, these people have Amateku, and we've not had anything. And if you could remember, our constabularies came in place when there was noise around our town.
Exactly.
We can learn from ourselves.
And that is why when this state government, I swear by Allah, that when I heard of this constabulary something, I commended this government a lot. That wow, what a government with an insight, you know. But these all things that are playing out now are now leaving one at no other options than saying it was all a kind of, you know, shenanigan. Like when you just do this make believe something and everything dies down like in a paper. Like my grandmother would say, you can just okay before you go tell you get it now. So that is now what it is looking like.
Because you see, our political environment really gets feedbacks.
Of course.
But people are getting more enlightened.
So if at this point, because I want to say categorically that if these people have been useless, and that is where I'm faulting the police, Nigerian police, the Kwara State Police Command, that if these people have been so useless, why take them on board in the first place? If you could have done it all alone, and there's something about this, and there's this thing about insecurity in Nigeria generally. It is you know the insecurity challenge is more of a social issue than a combating issue. Let me you know carrying gun running after criminals. And no, it's not about that.
A criminal even
do you know that people now have sympathy? Like people are sympathizing with criminals. Look at what Zamfara state government was claiming yesterday. That Bello Turuji, I don't know if you know about it. My friend was my journalist friend was one of those who went to interview him in the Daji. You understand? And they are now saying that Bello Turuji has submitted himself to the government. Now is even helping to fight the bad bandits. Bello Turuji, whom everybody watched, saying that he does not even know the number of people he has killed and all. I am not saying that there should not be kind